Thank you.
Thank you, Joe, for asking me to come speak about you today, and thank you for having the courage and energy to step up for public office. It's an honor for me to be here. My name is Creston Long, and I grew up in Salisbury, and I've lived here most of my life. And I've probably known Joe longer than practically anyone in this room. I was part of a team that hired him back in 2013. And at the time, I was his department chair. So kind of like his boss or supervisor, yeah. And from the start, I was impressed by Joe for several reasons. First of all, he showed a true devotion to his students, and he still does. He takes learning very seriously. He studies with his students. He also helps them through challenges that they might be facing. I think that's very valuable. Second, he never shied away from taking on additional responsibilities. For the first few years that he was here, whenever we had some sort of committee to form or task force to form around some kind of issue, Joe literally was always the first one to step up. He was kind of like that kid in the classroom who sits in the front row and always has a hand up ready to give the answer or volunteer. But that spoke so much about his work ethic and how much he wants to work to make the place better, whether it is our own department at school or out in the community. It's consistent. He is the first person to step up to serve. And finally, it was clear from the start that he was a good colleague. And what I mean by that is that he was willing to speak his mind. He would sometimes speak difficult truths, which we have to do if we want to have any kind of progress. But he also wants people to get along. He takes working relationships very seriously. And I'm certain actually, that impulse to seek common ground, that will serve him well as a public servant. Now, I know him outside of work as well. About a year after he and Sabrina moved here, they moved into our neighborhood, which is over near Pinehurst Elementary School. And that was not long after they moved there that they had their son, Sinai, who I see in the back there. And Sinai is kind of like a star in our neighborhood. Countless hours. When Sinai was an infant, I'd see Joe walk around the neighborhood with Sinai strapped to the front of him. Of course, now, as a 10-year-old, they ride bikes all around. But it was clear to me that I already knew how hard he worked, but he is deeply devoted as a father and as a husband. It is a core part of his identity. And I think that's an important part of what Joe's about. He gets the challenges that regular families face because he's experienced them himself. He knows the challenges of our local schools because he's been in the schools. And that experience, I think that's valuable to have that representation on a county council. I also want to say that Joe has helped me see the community differently. I said right at the start, I grew up here in Salisbury. And sometimes when you live in a place for a long time, normal just becomes accepted, right? This is the way things are. But Joe really kind of helped me see things differently. Things don't have to be that way, or something could be a bit different. And I've learned from that perspective. So I'll close here with a few reasons why I think Joe will make an excellent member of the county council. First of all, he digs deep into issues. He tries to understand and grasp the impact on regular people. He'll put in the time to ask questions and seek accurate information about any kind of question or issue that comes before the council. And that is certainly what I would want to see in a legislator. And he does that with any issue, whether it's at work or locally and right in the neighborhood. Joe worries, okay, but it's in a good way. I mean, it's a
You've noticed.
Yeah, it's not a pointless worry. It's one that leads him to seek information and try to find resolutions. So I think that's very important. Also, Joe has a great radar for detecting invalid arguments and reasoning. He can tell right away if somebody's putting up a smokescreen, if somebody's trying to promote something with some kind of glitzy promotion, but there's not a whole lot of substance behind it. He sees right through that very, very quickly. And I think that also is an important thing right now. And then finally, he listens. I've seen it for years with his own students. He listens, but he listens to neighbors. And he will do that as a member of the council. Anyone would be able to call him, and I mean anyone of any political inclination or any background would be able to call Joe, and he will listen and listen seriously. And in the end, may not be total agreement, but he'll take it seriously, and that kind of access and that kind of openness is also something that I would want to see. So Joe is running because he believes he can make a positive difference in our community, and because he is up for the hard work involved in the campaigning and the serving. Right, that's a lot. That is a lot to take on. But I've seen that impulse in him ever since he arrived here in Salisbury. So for all of these reasons, I'm very proud to support Joe Venosa for District 7. Thank you for listening.
Making me lose it already, man. Thank you. Somebody's cutting onions in this room, huh? Thank you to you both for those very kind and I think way too generous words. They mean more than you'll ever know. I don't want to keep you all too long because I know we've got plenty of snow coming in, but I'm grateful to everybody for being here. Most of all to my wife, Sabrina, who she always puts me